So, the Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity reviews just dropped from all the major outlets, and there is something that we need to talk about, specifically. Did Nintendo lie to us? Now, before you get all too upset about what I just said, let's just go through what we know so far. Without getting into spoilers, I will touch upon some spoilers that I sadly do know later on, but I will give you a fair warning before then, so do not worry, I will not talk about heavy spoilers before then, only what has been implied by the review outlets. Okay, so a few months back, when Age of Calamity was actually released, I made a video talking about, is Age of Calamity canon, right? And I came to the conclusion that, yeah, it was canon. Every indication of what Nintendo have said was saying that this is a prequel to Breath of the Wild. And while I'm not saying that it's not a prequel anymore, or that it's not canon, or any of that, basically my video was, this is canon. The story of Age of Calamity will be canon to Breath of the Wild. And while I do still think that, many of the review outlets have actually come out and they've said and they've implied that we'll be disappointed about this. That we'll be disappointed with the way Age of Calamity ends. They've all indicated it, saying that this game is really cool. You get to explore a lot of Hyrule and you really get to dig your teeth into the world of Breath of the Wild and explore it. But the direction that the story takes doesn't seem to be the one that we thought. And of course we had all the alarm bells ringing when the demo came out and this time travel element was introduced, which had seemingly the events of Breath of the Wild in the beginning, with everyone dying and Zelda going to confront Ganon, and then this creature this Guardian went back in time, and Zelda realized what's going to happen in the future, and it seems that they're trying to stop that. Now, what we hoped was they're still going to fail anyway, and this is just showing more detail about that. The Age of Calamity was just going to go into more detail about them failing. But I don't think that's the case. From the information that we've been given, and what's been implied by all these review outlets, it seems that whatever happens in Age of Calamity's story, it's going to be different. Now, whether this means it's going to be not canon at all and completely separate, or still canon but create a different timeline split, or whatever happens, it's probably related to this little Guardian thing, and it's probably going to be different to what we expect. What I think is going to happen, this is complete speculation, is that for some reason it will create some sort of separate events or timeline, or it will still incorporate the events of Breath of the Wild, but have different directions that you can come off and create multiple different timelines. For example, most Dynasty Warriors Muso games actually do have different pathways, different story pathways that you can lead to, and I'm hoping that's what we have here. I'm hoping that what we have is a story where everyone dies, a story where I don't know, they actually do stop Ganon, and maybe a separate story, or something like that. But I'm not sure. I don't know for sure without getting into any spoilers. That's all I have to say. If you love Breath of the Wild and you love Dynasty Warriors games, I still think you're going to really enjoy this game. Most of the reviews have talked about how this game still has a lot of really great Breath of the Wild type elements. It feels really good to play, and if you do enjoy that hack and slash Muso game repetition, it's still there, but it's really fun, and it does really explore the world of Breath of the Wild, and is a really good palate cleanser while we wait for the sequel. But in terms of it being a complete and absolute prequel that's canon, it might still be the case, but it's not what we're expecting. That's all I'm going to say without getting into spoilers. In terms of, like, official spoilers. Everything that I just said was what's been implied by the reviewers, and I'm just telling you what I think it means. It's nothing I said is official. Hopefully, when they say that they're disappointed, hopefully all that actually means is that it just doesn't show enough detail. Or something like that. I'm hoping that's what it means. But judging by the way that everything was phrased in the reviews, and the fact that we do have time travel, that's being confirmed, we know it's in the demo, I'm not very optimistic. Now, that spoilers out of the way, we're going to get into the spoilers that I do know, because sadly I do know some spoilers, and I'm going to talk about them now. Please, if you actually haven't seen the spoilers, I would advise you to not. Everything that I've talked about so far really should give you enough information on whether you want to play the game or not. If you have sadly seen the spoilers like me, stick around and we'll continue to talk about some of them. And if you have not, then please go get the game if you want. If you think that it doesn't look like what you want anymore because of what we talked about, I completely understand. But have a good day. Alright. If you're still here, let's talk about the fact that there really does seem to be... The game does end with all the characters from Breath of the Wild that I could see, because I saw a few snippets online in thumbnails and stuff, of the characters alive. I don't know what this means. And again, spoiler warning if you haven't seen this, but it does seem to also have the descendants of the champions also there. So they get brought back in time. I don't know. I have no clue. It is possible that maybe the events of the Breath of the Wild do take place, and that completely happens. But then because of this Guardian meddling, they get taken back in time, and it creates a different timeline split where the characters survive. So now we've got two Breath of the Wild splits. We got one where everyone dies and one where everyone gets saved. That's going to be messy, but it is like Nintendo to do that. We've seen that with Ocarina of Time. It's not unusual. And it could be really interesting. So I forgot what review it was, but someone mentioned that this is like the MCU. So you have everyone coming together to defeat Calamity Canon, and that would be really cool. I still think this game is going to be really fun to play. I think the story is going to be incredibly epic, and as a massive Zelda fan, and an even bigger fan of Breath of the Wild, is my favourite game, I'm still incredibly excited to see this very epic story. But I need to realise that this is not Rogue One. And I think you guys need to realise this too. This is not a sad, tragic, really digging deep into the tragedy that is Breath of the Wild. That's not what it is, I think. It's possible because there were some files apparently found that are missing. So it's possible, as I talked about before, there is multiple endings, and we just do one where everyone dies. But the one that I've seen, the one that the credits have actually followed, the one that actually is before the credits, is where everyone survives. So that's pretty much it. That's pretty much what I have to say. It's interesting, it's bold, it's very bold, but then did Nintendo lie to us? I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure. We'll have to wait till the game comes out. But at the moment, they did sort of market the game as a canon prequel. It still might be a canon prequel. It still might be. Creating this extra timeline split doesn't have to retcon Breath of the Wild or be in a separate alternate universe that's completely separate to the Zelda timeline. This game might still be canon and in the Zelda timeline, but it's not the linear prequel that we were expecting and pretty much what we were wanting, what I was wanting. So that's it for this video. That's it for this quick little talk. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you have a good day, and I hope you do enjoy Age of Calamity. Anyway, this has been Legends of Jasper. I am Jasper, and I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye. Absorb 3 symbols and she's at full power, and there's a lot